Pop music is so much more than just a catchy tune, right? It's kind of like a time capsule. In just 3.5 minutes, it can capture the entire spirit of a generation, all its hopes, its anxieties, its whole worldview. But how exactly does it do that? Well, sometimes it's a protest anthem, shouting loud and clear for the entire world to hear. And other times it's more like a mirror, reflecting our most personal, most confusing feelings right back at us. So today, we're going to look at two legendary K-pop groups from completely different decades. We've got Taiji and Boys from the 90s, and then FX from the 2010s, to see how they became the megaphone and the mirror for their times.
We'll kick things off by exploring the megaphone of the 90s with Taiji. Then we're going to jump forward to the mirror of the 2010s with FX. And finally, we'll wrap it all up by looking at what their combined legacy means for K-pop today.
All right, first up, the 90s in South Korea. This was a time of absolutely seismic change. You have a whole new generation finding its voice after decades of really strict authoritarian rule. So a little context here is everything. The huge pro-democracy movements of the late 80s had basically cracked society wide open. This new atmosphere of freedom created the perfect stage for something totally new, something revolutionary in music. And then in 1992, boom, that's exactly what happened. And this brand new music had a very specific audience in mind, the X generation. These were the kids who grew up in a newly democratized Korea. They were pushing back against old conservative rules, and instead were all about individuality and self-expression, listening to Western hip-hop and rock. For them, Taiji and Boys weren't just another band. They were icons. Okay, and this is where that megaphone really comes in. Taiji and Boys didn't just sing about crushes and heartbreak. No, they took the frustrations of the entire X generation and just blasted them through the speakers. Just listen to this lyric from their song, Classroom Idea. That isn't some deep metaphor, it's a full-on, direct assault on the country's incredibly rigid education system. I mean, this was the kind of thing you just did not hear on the radio back then, not a chance. And they didn't just stop with schools. They tackled this absolutely unprecedented range of social issues. Runaway teens and Come Back Home, the dream of Korean reunification and dreaming of Balhae, and social hypocrisy in regret of the times. They really proved that pop music could be about something important, something real. This slide just perfectly illustrates the huge shift we're about to see. The 90s megaphone was all about rebelling against these big, external problems, right? But as we jump into the 2010s, the focus turns completely inward. The megaphone gets replaced by a mirror. And just like that, here we are in the 2010s. The world is a different place now. It's global, it's digital, and the big questions are less about society as a whole and way more about the self. Like, who am I in this crazy, hyper-connected world? By this point, K-pop was a global force. Social media had completely changed the game for artists and for fans. And with that, the anxieties of a new generation shifted. The stories in pop music, especially from all these incredible rising female groups, became so much more personal, subjective, and complex. And the group FX just perfectly embodied this shift. If Taiji and Boys were the social critics, then FX were the poets. They were known for their super experimental sound and these incredibly artistic, metaphorical lyrics. Okay, this is a perfect example of their genius. The song's key lyric uses the Korean word sarangni. It literally means wisdom tooth, but it also sounds just like love tooth. So they built an entire song around this amazing little pun, comparing first love to something that grows in, pushes everything else aside, and hurts like crazy. It's not a direct statement. It's poetry. And now, look at this lyric from their song Four Walls. This isn't about protesting a system, it's about the very nature of identity itself. You know, when you fall in love, do you lose yourself? When you look in the mirror, do you even see yourself anymore? Or just the person you love? These are the deep, internal questions FX was exploring. And honestly, their entire discography is filled with this kind of introspection. From love as this painful but necessary part of growing up, to finding your identity through other people, to forging your own path, and that awful anxiety of feeling disconnected, they were basically mapping the complex emotional landscape of modern youth. So what does this all mean? How do these two totally different legacies, the megaphone and the mirror, fit together? And what does it all mean for K-pop? Let's break it down. Back in the post-democratization 90s, Seo Taiji and boys used a direct, in-your-face style to critique society, proving that pop could have a really powerful social message. Then you fast forward to the globalized 2010s, and FX uses this poetic, metaphorical style to explore the self, which massively expanded K-pop's artistic depth. Now, it's not that one is better than the other. They're actually part of an evolution. Seo Taiji basically kicked the door open, proving that mainstream music could tackle really serious subjects. And once that door was open, groups like FX could walk right through it to explore all the new, complex, and personal subjects that defined their generation. So, the big takeaway here is this. K-pop is so much more than just catchy music. When you really listen, you start to see that it's a living document, a cultural text that both reflects the world around it and helps to shape the conversations that matter most. And that leaves us with one last thought. Right now, K-pop is a truly global language. So when you look at the biggest artists today, what do you think they're saying? Are they holding a megaphone, a mirror, or have they become something else entirely?